Welcome back to News Now. I'm Maya Harris, and today with my special guest, WPU professor Dr. Fanny Lauby. Dr. Lauby specializes in American politics, public policy, and the political mobilization of immigration youth. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
Now, immigration is one of the biggest topics that we hear about in this year's campaign, and I want to talk to you about immigration reform. But first, how many immigrants are living in the U.S., and what percentage are legal and undocumented?
So there are about 41 million immigrants living in the United States today. It's about 13% of the population. So in raw numbers, it's the highest that it's been in U.S. history, but in terms of proportion, it's the same as in the late 19th century. So it's something that we've seen before. And there's about 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States today.
And where is the separation of where do mainly most of them come from, or altogether, where do they come from?
So altogether, the majority of immigrants today come from Latin America and Asia. So a little over half come from Latin America, and then about a quarter come from Asia.
Okay, and what are the major issues with immigration reform that we are facing here in the U.S.?
So one of the major concerns or the major debates on immigration reform is what to do with the 11 million undocumented immigrants who are living in the U.S. And so there's some candidates, some members of Congress who suggest deportation or self-deportation. Others have proposed a path to citizenship based on length of residence, based on paying a fine. So that's been really the discussion since the 1990s, and Congress hasn't passed any type of immigration reform, comprehensive immigration reform, since the 1980s. The problem is it's become a very partisan issue, so it's hard for members of Congress to really get past that divide and work with the other side of the aisle.
There's this standstill that they're at. Do you see a push or pull in any way in particular happening, or not really?
Well, I think this year I don't think so because of the presidential election. Everyone is kind of on a holding pattern. 3 years ago now, the Senate passed comprehensive immigration reform, which was a more moderate version that had both providing a path to citizenship for some undocumented immigrants, but also a heavy law enforcement focus of securing the border. And so that passed the Senate, but the leadership in the House never put it up for a vote. So it never got a chance to get done at that time.
And speaking of politics, as I mentioned before, immigration is a really big, hot button topic. Could you basically sort out for us who can vote in the United States?
Right. So in terms of immigration, only naturalized citizens can vote. They can also donate money to candidates in their campaigns. Legal permanent residents, those who have a green card, can also donate money. What's important, though, is that you don't need to be a citizen or a legal permanent resident to become active in the campaign. So any foreign-born person can attend a rally, can sign a petition, and most importantly, they can contact their elected official, especially their member of Congress, to try to put pressure on them to pass comprehensive immigration reform. Because all immigrants are taxpayers, right? So it is a myth that, immigrants don't pay taxes or undocumented immigrants don't pay taxes. So because of that, you can definitely contact your locally elected official and try to pressure them to pass these reforms.
Okay. And so, Professor, are there any projects or works that you are working on currently that our viewers might want to check out?
Sure. So my research is on immigrant political incorporation. So that means that I'm interested in how and why immigrants become politically active, the type of issues that they work on, the type of support they get, and the type of challenges they face. So I specifically focus on immigrant youth and undocumented youth. So the last couple of years I've been working on two movements, one in New York to push the New York DREAM Act to get state financial aid for undocumented youth, and the New Jersey movement that got in-state tuition passed for undocumented youth back in 2013. So I'm interviewing immigrant youth activists, but also elected officials and community organizers.
Well, thank you for joining us, Professor.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank my professor, Dr. Fanny Lauby, and I wish her continued success.